Some of you might be looking at me right now and thinking, wow, Stefan, you look half asleep still. And you wouldn't be wrong. It is literally 20 to 6 in the morning. I woke up at 4 for some reason. I don't know why, but I've been up since 4 o'clock, just going through the news, looking over everything that's happening. I think because I'm going to a barbecue at 9 to watch the rugby, obviously, and we're doing Poikikos today, so it's going to be a super fun day, but it's going to be a long day. I think that's why I'm up now and I'm quickly making videos. I haven't even showered yet. I'll go shower right after this video and then we have a bunch of other videos to make. But we have to talk about the ANC and the ANC's crumbling sort of state at the moment. One of the nice things about evil, corrupt systems is that their downfall is oftentimes built into their formation. It's not always easy to see right from the start. But usually after you see the sort of unraveling of the system, you realize that it was never not going to fail. You look at communism, for example, and in every single communist regime that we've seen crumble, it fails because of the same things, because of that collection of power and the corruption that is sort of baked into that system. Now, the ANC has been frantically trying to change the narrative. Just last week, or literally just yesterday, you had the president, Cyril Ramaphosa, doing this entire speech about how there can be no more allowance of cadres that steal from the people, that service delivery and the inability to deliver services to the people is absolutely unacceptable, and that it will no longer be allowed by the ANC. And I think there's a reason why the ANC, and I mean, Fikile Mbalula literally echoes sort of the same thing, right? So he starts off his speech, and I'll talk about why I think this is happening in a second. But comrades, the choices of leadership you want isn't what South Africans want. You may despise Mbalula and like ANC Youth League president. You may despise this comrade and like that one, but South Africans aren't looking at that from us. They want leadership for real change for their lives, and the youth of South Africa needs leadership from you. Now, in spite of the fact that I disagree with every word he said there, people are looking at leaders because a leader will tell them what kind of organization they're about to deal with. If a leader is a strong, principled man, people will be more likely to follow that leader because that leader has principles and that leader at least stands for something. So while that is super important, I think what's more important is reading between the lines here. You can already see the infighting that is happening within the ANC, and this is indicative of these kinds of liberation movements. It has now reached the faction stage of the liberation movement. Before, because they had power and because there was a lot of money within the organization, everyone was happy to just eat, right? Everyone joined the ANC as this collective let's eat scenario. But of course, the food has been running out as they have overtaxed the citizens of this republic. They have found themselves with a lot less to actually eat. And so now these factions are starting to eat each other. Why? Because if there's not enough for all of us to eat, then only one of us should be allowed to eat. And this is why the ANC is desperately trying to stop the fighting, because they realize this is the one thing that could kill them faster, is a sort of infighting that will happen within the ANC. He then goes on to speak about, and this is the real interesting thing, we must fight corruption and not be counted as a statistic. Gone are the days when a comrade is accused of corruption and we sing alongside him or her in court. And then he spoke in isiXhosa and Sesotho, where he said, it will be every man for himself when it comes to corruption. The ANC never sent us to government to steal. The Youth League and all ANC structures, we must never prevaricate against corruption and ill discipline in our structures. Now, I should be very clear about this. None of this will work. And the ANC doesn't understand this yet, but none of this can work. You see, the only people that are still interested in the ANC, and let's make one thing clear here, Fikile Mbalula isn't this bastion of honesty. He is just as corrupt and just as criminal as Cyril Ramaphosa and all the rest. This has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that the ANC has finally realized that, oh wait, we might lose this next election. Like, this is not going well for us. And one of the reasons we're losing these elections is because we keep stealing the money from the people. So maybe we should not do that. The issue, of course, that they don't face yet and that they don't know they're going to be facing is that all of the good people, all of the people that may genuinely have wanted to make the world a better place and genuinely may have, be it ill-conceived, and I say ill-conceived because anyone who dreams of utopia, you should always be incredibly sort of cautious of. Utopia cannot exist. We know that utopia will exist in heaven after we die because utopia requires a perfect leader, and only God can be that perfect leader. We as humans, we're evil, we're corrupt, we're little bastards. We cannot create utopia, and any attempt to try to create utopia, we end up usually just making things way, way worse. But there may have been people who, even misguided, wanted to make the world a better place. Those people are no longer in the ANC. The people who are now in the ANC are those who, through a culture of corruption, through a culture of stealing and enriching themselves, have joined the ANC in a bid to steal and enrich themselves. They're not there because they think the ANC is still a good vehicle for liberation. The ANC, coincidentally, they're still speaking in terms of liberation, even though the liberation has long passed. Right? There's nothing to be liberated from, except, of course, to be liberated from your liberators, which is the sad state of every single African nation on this planet. I do believe that the ANC will lose the next election. I'm not talking local, because they usually lose badly at local elections. I think the ANC will lose the election after this, in 2028, I believe, 2029. I don't think the ANC will lose it with like a clear just 20% or 10%. I don't think that will happen. I think the ANC will probably come down to 30, maybe 28, 29%. I can see a world where the DA goes up to maybe 25, 26%. I don't think the DA will be able to take power full stop. I can actually see the Freedom Front Plus moving into a position where it maybe gets like 9 or 10%, because there's a lot of people that like what the FF Plus is doing. I think of all the parties in the GNU, the FF Plus is the only one that isn't bashing its chest, thumping its chest, saying, look at us. Their leader is just doing his job. And I think South Africans, being sick and tired of the talk, just endless talking, they're looking at that and going, well, that's nice. You're just doing your job. You're not trying to get praise. You're not trying to say, look at me, look at all the stuff that I'm doing. You're just like, hey, we need to fix these prisons. Let's go. And I think a lot of South Africans are looking at that and saying, hey, this is nice. We just want leaders that do the job. Of course, the ANC cannot do that job. They're in no way, shape, or form capable of doing it. And that is because it's been completely hollowed out. The rest of the article is literally him just talking about how they shouldn't fight one another. But then it becomes clear that even with him saying they shouldn't fight one another, he's fighting his own battles with some of the factions within the ANC, even though telling them they shouldn't be fighting him. So, of course, he's doing all of this because he is the Secretary General of the ANC. And I think he has hopes that he might be the next president of the ANC and maybe even the president of the country. Right now, I think the ANC is in a serious position because there is no natural leader after Ramaphosa. Every single one of the leaders that follows Ramaphosa does not have a majority support. I mean, within the country. They might be popular within their own sort of bubbles, but the rest of the country does not care about them at all. That includes people like Fikile Mbalula. That includes people like Paul Mashatile. None of them are popular, right? Ramaphosa was popular because people genuinely thought that he was different because he didn't come from career politics, but rather pretended to be a businessman for a while. But I think that's over, right? I think we're now staring into a very different place. And it's going to be super interesting to watch. If you like what I do and you think more people should have access to the kind of content that I make, please consider hitting the like button, hitting that subscribe button, and letting me know in the comment section down below what you think will happen to the ANC come 2029. And then, as always, a massive shout out and thank you to all of the patrons as well as the YouTube channel members for your continued support. If you want to become a patron, hit the link in the description down below, or just hit the join button right below this video. As always, be good to each other, be kind to each other, and I will see all of you in the next one. Peace.